take for our what do you call it, for our photographers only. I hear there's a lot of activity. Eric, last thing I saw said there's around 1,200 people or 1,100 people who've hit the site compared to a couple hundred last year. So that's great. You know, hopefully we get bombarded with that. Eric, I need to talk to you afterwards just for a minute because I have something that came up on the 5th, but that's something for more of the committee than anything. Okay. But I'll be available. I just wanted to touch base with you. Okay.
Question.
Yes.
Question for you. If you were to have many more people, would you set up grids in the middle of the gallery to handle more entries?
That's a good consideration to do. That's something because we'll have the back room as well. So if we need to, I'd love to have that problem. You know, I remember a couple of years ago, the biggest show that I've been involved in there, not the photo show, but I think it was 2019 October. We had 147 pieces that got hung, and it was packed. So or something like that, 147, 157. So I would love to have that problem, Delia. And we'll know as we get them in and we hang them and put them in categories. So if we have that issue, my God, that'd be great. You know,
you might be able to put up a couple of star-shaped,
That's smart. Either that or a triangle, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, either that or a triangle, and they wouldn't take up that much room. People could walk around them, but you could hang on all 3 or 4 sides.
Well, my concern is hanging for judging, and then afterwards, if we have that many, we'll have to figure it out. Of course, you hang the winners, and then you have to hang some other ones. But sometimes everyone may not get hung. But if we have that issue, we'll deal with that. And I'm hoping it'd be wonderful to have that issue. You know, so we'll have to talk to Susan and I can never remember his name. Who helps hang?
Steve Kilgore.
Yeah, if that's the issue, you know, that'd be great. Okay, this is our last member meeting until September. We don't traditionally do the summer meetings like June, July, and August, my understanding. So this may be our last one. We can put a survey out too to see if people are indeed interested in doing summer, since we do Zoom meetings. But people have vacations, people, with things opening up, people might have people coming into town and going away as well. So that's something we can talk about in our next executive meeting in June. Do we want to have member meetings through the summer? Because traditionally we have not over the last 3 or 4 years. So I'm going to start my camera because I want to video record this because I may use part of this later as a teaching tool. Okay. Any other business we need to deal with that any of them? Terry, are you a new member?
Probably the newest member.
One of the newest members. When did you join?
Last month.
Well, welcome. Thank you. And thank you for coming to the member meeting. I appreciate those of you who were able to make it. And we're gonna go. I'm gonna do my presentation, but mostly on photography. And for those of you who may have, like Eric, this might bore him to death, and Caesar maybe a little bit, but this is my perspective on it, and I might, who knows, you're always learning something. Even though I've been doing photography for over 50 years, I've learned a couple of years ago I was holding my camera wrong, and I wasn't holding my camera wrong until I saw a technique like, oh my God, I was holding my camera wrong. And depending on the kind of camera. So I'm going to start this video real quick that I'm going to do. I'm not going to show you guys video. I'm just actually using my phone. I think it started. There we go. I hope. Okay. Today, June. No, it's not June yet. It's still May. May the 20th. So I want to cover a couple of things today. I want to cover some lighting techniques, some things about summer, some different kinds of cameras, and some different techniques. Again, these are things that I've done. You may do differently, and that's okay. That's the nice thing about photography and all art. It's what the artist wants it to be. Recently, I saw a saying. It said, although beauty is in the eye of the beholder, but art is in the soul of the artist. And I don't know who said it. It wasn't original. I can't. I wish I had wrote it down. But talking about art being in the soul of the artist. Okay. Summertime is here. We're going to be out and about. All this pandemic stuff has kind of let up a little bit. I can say not completely, but enough to the point where people are getting out. People are enjoying being around other people, being out in nature, being amongst others. And a lot of people like to do photography. In fact, a lot of people consider themselves photographers. And you don't have to have a big professional camera. You can have one of the 3 Ps. You can have a phone camera, you would point and shoot, or you can have a professional camera. So it doesn't really matter what kind of camera you have, because really the photography happens beforehand. That's a little bit what I want to talk about today. I think we plan ahead of time for our photography, and it's all in our eye, what we see. And for those of you who do other types of art, you may have a vision of what you want to paint, or you might have something in front of you. Delia, you might have, I know you do a lot of animal pictures, so you might have the animal right there, or a picture of the animal, or just even a vision. Since you've done so many, I think you mostly do dogs, right? That's your specialty. So you might have a certain type of dog, and you can just draw that or paint it or whatever thing you're going to do, and know ahead of time. So that's kind of like the photographer too. When we go into doing a photograph, we kind of know what we want, or at least sometimes. Now, if you're just going to take your camera real quick and, okay, you see something and you click, and you go about your business, that's more of a snapshot. You didn't really think about it. You just, hey, this is interesting. I took a quick picture and I went about my business. It's like stopping time for that moment. You took a snapshot of time, and that's okay. I've done that many times. And there's actually been times I've been out without my camera. In fact, the other day I was out, I had to go pick up my check from my job, and they were putting a billboard up. And I had no intentions of taking pictures that day. I was going to pick up my check, do a couple errands and whatever. But of course, I had my cell phone with me. So almost nowadays, we all have some form of camera with us. So I was watching them put up a billboard the old-fashioned way, climbing up the ladder and hanging over the edge and putting it. Well, I used my cell phone and got as close as I could and set my settings and I got my pictures. Okay, now to me that's street photography. It's kind of like we were talking earlier. I was talking to Terry about being a photojournalist type style photographer, which I say old style because I try not to be part of the story. I try to just record the story. Okay. So being summertime, we're going to do some planning. Okay. When's the best lighting? Well, for me, I like lighting right around daybreak until about 15 minutes after the sun is up. And I like the last hour before the sun goes down, what they call the golden hours. But that's not always the time. You may not be awake. You might not be available. The best picture might not be there, right? So you don't always have that option. But that, to me, that's the best time to take pictures. Also, I love cloudy weather. I love cloudy weather to take pictures because I don't have those harsh shadows and the different lighting. In fact, the other day I was doing a photo shoot. They wanted 10 a.m. to like around 1. And that's the time I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, you can't get your little 1-year-old up at 5 a.m. and bring them to the park. And that was kind of no. So I had to improvise. So my lighting situation, actually, I went there the day beforehand. I actually went twice. For those of you who are on my Facebook as well, it's all the peacock pictures. Okay. I got those because I was at the park 2 different days at the time I was going to do the photo shoot. So I went out and I planned. From 10 o'clock I was there to about noon, and I wanted to see how the lighting was going to be, where the shadows were going to be, and how that was. So I actually planned this session ahead of time as a professional, and the people paying me for my time, so I owed it to them to have the lighting right. And then it still fooled me a little bit. With the way the shadows were and everything, I had some, what they called, Eric helped me out here when the lighting's different. It's
When lighting different, you mean different light sources?
yeah, different light sources, or different maybe it's sunny here and shadowy here, and I can't think of the word, can't think of the term I want to say, but you have different lighting. So I ended up using on a bright sunny day this past Sunday, we all know who it was. I ended up using my flash. You know, I just changed things around, and I used my flash to make for the best situation. Combination light. Thank you, Eric.
There you go.
Thank you. So I had combination light, and there was like lighting coming down from one side, half lighting someone's face, and then there was shadows otherwise. Well, I had an assistant with me, and I took one of these. I don't know if you guys can see it or not. You know how you have the from your car? These are really inexpensive. Can you see it?
Yep.
Okay. And there's a side on here. I have the gold side and a silver side. And if I want to make the picture look a little warmer, I'll use the gold side towards them. If I want to make it a little cooler, I use the silver side. So I was able to control the lighting and create some shadows where I needed to. So those are, don't buy them at the camera store. Go to Walmart and buy them for $4 back in automotive. You know, it's a lot less expensive, and you have what you need. And then you can also use it in your car if you need to. So sometimes your lighting you have to be ready. I don't like using flash as much if I don't have to, but sometimes the situation calls for it. Now I know Eric has a small flash above his camera he uses, and he uses it. You've seen him in the gallery. He goes around taking our pictures for us, and he has one that just sets off the camera just enough. Okay. Now I have different flashes. I also have a big ring light. So you just have to kind of go with what you need. Now, do you need all that to do good photography? No, you don't. You need whatever you have in your hand. In fact, the best camera you own is the one you're holding right now in your hand. It could be your phone. It could be a more professional camera. It doesn't matter. The idea is to get the shot. Now, I prefer sometimes shooting in more shade than too much light. How many times have you seen the picture where you've seen the moon, or you've seen the background and it's completely white? Well, once that happens, it's blown out and you can't bring it back. If there's no definition to it, you just can't bring it back. So what I'll do, a technique, is I'll make the background black as I can, my exposure, and I'll fill it in with flash. And that helps me. But everyone doesn't have that. So what you can do is you're going to make it so when you're just taking a quick snapshot or just maybe a family picture, just have it lit as best possible. And usually you want to have the people facing the light source. So you want the sun to your back. So it's lighting up your subject matter, whether it's flowers, whether it's your animals, whether it's your family. You want the light source to your back, lighting them up as much as possible. Yes, Delia.
How do you avoid casting a shadow on your subject? Of course, it's people, you're far enough away, but I'm taking the cactus flowers in my yard and I take them early in the morning, like you were talking, that primary time when the sun hasn't reached full zenith yet. And so there are fewer shadows because I can't get on the other side of some of my flowers. I have to take them with the sun at my back. And so I cast a shadow on what I'm trying to take. And then therefore the flower is dull because it doesn't have any highlights on it.
Right. The best thing, the most ideal thing is to try to not be your own shadow. And I do that too. I cast a pretty big shadow. And so it's a matter of your positioning. And if you have a timer on your camera, and you can get like little, where do I have it? I had it right here. Little things to hold your, if you can use a cell phone. Do you use a cell phone, or do you use more of another type of camera?
Cell phone.
Okay, so you can get a little cell phone holder. They're like $4 or $5 at Walmart, and get a little tripod. And with the cell phones, you can set a timer on them. Take it. Also, you can do a voice picture, like a voice setup. You can say smile or capture. And if you set it up and then stand back out of the area and say it so the camera hears you, capture or smile or photo, and then you won't be in the picture. You won't be part of that. So it's a
Okay.
matter of setup for that. Okay. Also, you might want to, if you can wait a little later in the day, but again, you want to have your light at its optimal. And like you said, later in the day, it's flatter and it isn't as appealing. Okay. Did I answer your question? Okay. Now, also, there's a thing called color temperature, or actually, some people call it white balance. And for right now, I set my camera according to my lighting. Now, I was in if I'm going to be in a outside, I set what they call white balance. A lot of people would set it on automatic, and that's okay. And it's easier for a lot of people to do that. But it says whether it's sunlight or whether it's incandescent light or fluorescent light, because that can change the way your picture looks. If you have it set for incandescent light and you're outside shooting, your pictures might come out more blue. Okay. Or if you have it set for fluorescent and you're shooting in a let me switch it up a second. If you're shooting inside with incandescent lights and you have it set on sunset, they're going to be orange. Not so much sunset, but daylight. If you have it set on daylight and you're shooting inside, they're going to be orange. That's why you see a lot of pictures, people look orange because the white balance isn't right or the temperature isn't right. You can make adjustments for that even on cell phones now. You go in, you set up your pro, you set up your what's called white balance, and it will have a little light bulb, or it'll have mountains, it'll have shade. You can tell it's shady. It will show a bright sun. So white balance is very important if you don't want to have to do post-processing. And I hate to edit. Now, if I'm editing a job, say Eric gives me a job, he's busy and he said, "Can you edit these?" Yes, I'm fine with that. But for my own work, I don't like editing my work. I like to do 95% of my work in camera, set it up how I want it, make the camera do what I want it to do, and take the picture. I may have to adjust for lighting or cropping later just so I can print it. But for the most part, I don't like to. The picture you see right now in my background, I took that in Hawaii. There was no post-processing to this picture. I set it up ahead of time. I knew how I wanted it to look. Now, again, if you do things professionally, it's different. I've done this for 40, 50 years. And I know what I'm looking for. But if you're just taking snapshots, that's okay. You can fix it later on, and you can go in there and play around with it just on the basic program. You don't have to have anything fancy. But I don't like to do the after work. I like to create ahead of time and be done. I don't like to spend hours editing. I just don't. So that's my own personal bent. I try to do things ahead of time. So I'm setting up my lighting, setting up my shadows, stuff like that. So if you, and I will do this with people too. I've had people ask me, "Can you come out and show me how to do this?" Yes, I'll be happy to do lessons with people. No problem at all. That's one of my funnest things to do is to work with people on how to take better pictures. Because some people, I'll tell you this, there are people who are better photographers than me. Some of them are in this room with us, okay? But I say you won't find anyone more passionate than me about photography. I could talk about it for hours, but I won't do that to you tonight. I'm trying to keep this at a minimum. But I would be glad to come out and work with anybody on how to do pictures. And if you're just going to do them for yourself, that's one thing. Or if you want them in the gallery, you want them a certain way in the gallery, how they're going to look. Or if you want them to be so they're going to be potential winners at photo shows. Okay, what are you shooting for? What are you looking for? How are you setting it up? That's when it comes down to a photograph versus a snapshot. Setting it up, doing the pre-work, in my opinion, at least. Okay. Other people might tell you the same thing. Okay. So we went over too much shade, too much light, wind. We were talking about the wind before you all got here. Okay, Delia, I'm going to tell you right now, your cell phone will not take pictures today without being blurred, unless it's a supersonic camera on that cell phone, because movement with the wind is going to cause blur. Okay. Now you can block it. You can set up like the little thing I showed you earlier, or you can have it on the side of the house where it's not so windy. Yes. But when you have movement, that's what causes blur. And sometimes it's creative. I've seen people where they take it. I think Eric's done this. I know I have. And make waterfalls or water have a blurred look to it. Eric, you've done that, haven't you? Have that blur, like have that. And Caesar, you do a lot of photography. Have you ever done that purposeful blur for water? A lot of people love that look. Personally, I don't like the look. I go out there if I'm going to shoot that look, it's because someone wants it. Mostly I shoot photography for what I want. And it sounds kind of weird, but I do the pictures I like. And if you like it, that's gravy. And I'll tell you the same thing about your art, your photography. Do what you like. Do what looks good to you. If someone else likes it, great. Because you're the one that has to be happy with the picture in the end. Okay? And I'm going to pick on Delia for a second because we're friends. But Delia, if you come to show me a picture and you think it's wonderful, okay, but what if I don't like it? Then you're kind of like, if you take a picture for me to show me, I might not like it. So I say, take your pictures for yourself, do your artwork for yourself, and then others appreciate it. That's gravy, if you will. Okay. So I think that's the best way to not be disappointed. Because some people would go out and try to please everybody. And how many people would you please when you try to please everybody?
Nobody.
Nobody. Right. So we talked about the wind. Let's talk a little bit more about the weather. Whether it be windy or snowy or whatever. When you see a winter picture, what colors do you think you're going to see? Are they going to be more orangish or more bluish?
When you see a what kind of picture?
Winter.
I'm sorry?
Winter, snowy.
Oh, winter.
Most of the chances they're going to be more on the blue side. They're going to look cold. And that, to me, that's why I shoot for. If I'm shooting snow, I want to make the picture a little more on the blue side because I want you to feel the cold. I want you to look at that picture and say, oh my God, it looks cold there. You know, if it's a nice sunny day, okay, I want to look sunny. I'm gonna go up the scale a little bit on and make it look a little bit warmer. Okay, just a touch. And you can do that. And that's the fun thing about photography. You can adjust it, okay, without changing the colors, without changing what you're shooting. And you can give some feel to it. One of my favorite pictures I've taken was a picture of a steak I took a couple years ago. And I was at a church gathering. The men from the church went out. I just took this picture of the steak and I showed it to people and they're like, oh my God, I'm hungry for steak now. And yes, I got what I wanted. I got people hungry for the steak. Okay. So that's what I was going for. Okay. And back to weather a little bit. Is it going to be a warm climate? Do I want to go there? Once I see this picture, do I want to go to this place? Do I want to be there or do I feel that I'm there? Okay. So I try to shoot for the moment, for the emotion, for the feel of the picture. So that's what I'm going for. So again, sometimes I have to make it a little bit more blue to make it colder. Okay. I'm going to show those pictures more in the summertime because it's so hot outside. I show you a picture of something that's nice and cool and blue, more blue. It's gonna cool you down because you start thinking that way. Okay, same with winter. Show you warmer pictures so you feel warmer. The background. If you are taking a picture of your family or a flower or a whatever you want to say, and your neighbor's dog's in the background scratching itself, okay, or there's a mirror, and there's a mirror there, and you see someone behind you only half dressed, and you're taking this beautiful picture, but there's this mirror there you didn't really pay attention to. But when you look at the photo at the end, you see someone, getting undressed or doing, making faces or whatever. So background's important. I always try to look and see what's around. If someone's walking, for a good example, we were in the park the other day. I had people walk behind the subject. So I waited and they said, "What are you waiting for?" I said, "Someone's walking behind you." I could see like one leg coming out of someone else's leg and look someone had like three legs. And I don't like that because I don't want to edit. So I'm paying attention to my background. Okay. I'm also paying attention to what's on the side because I don't want people looking off. Like right now, if I was taking a picture of you guys and I want you to look centered, I don't want people like grandma off to the side and the grandkids looking over to grandma. I want grandma has to be on my shoulder. I want grandma right here. So the baby is looking at grandma. Okay. And that's what we did Saturday or Sunday. I had my assistant lining people. So like the kids are there and grandma's there. I said, "Go get grandma and bring her over here behind me," because little Johnny is off looking at everything except for us, So I try to watch the background, what's behind me, as well as what's behind the subject matter. Again, it cuts down on editing. It cuts down on a lot of things. Even right now, Caesar, if I were to take his picture right now, he has his his window right there with the lighting. So I would try to watch that I didn't get that in the picture unless I wanted it, because I don't want to have to fool with it later.
John.
Yes.
It always cracks me up when people take a shot and somebody has the tree twig growing out of their hair or their head. I mean, like this, I have this beam above me coming out my head. And
right.
So it ruins so many pictures when you don't pay attention, because if it's a photograph of a person, you're going to be looking at their face.
Right.
And so it's really critical that you not have something growing out of their head.
Right, exactly. So those kind of things are very important, and that's a very good point, Delia. You want to have it so you make it about the subject matter, not about the people looking. You see on the internet later on these unusual pictures, and again you see like trees coming out of people's heads, or something coming out their ear, And so again, I try to avoid that as much as possible. One way to do it is putting up a green screen or some kind of screen behind them, but that would not have worked this past Sunday. It was so windy, it got blown over. So we tried to pick other things. Now we went to Floyd Land Park, and it was I had not been there before. These people had scheduled with me, but it was a very nice park. And when I went out there to scope it or to scout it out, I said, "Okay, this building is this way, and this way." So by moving around, I got the buildings to kind of join. So I didn't have a big space in between with light. And like you said, with a big beam of light coming out of someone's head, like they're on Star Wars. And so I just had to move around a certain way and got the picture I wanted. And the background was nice because then it wasn't blown out. And I didn't have to have the whole water tower, okay? Because I didn't want that, because I didn't want the people being this big and the water tower being this tall. So it just the way I moved them around, I was able to do that. Again, it was according to planning, and it makes a difference. It makes a difference. again, if you're just taking the picture because you want a quick snapshot of, grandkids, that's great. Take your picture and do that. And I don't want to sound condescending because I'm not, because I've done a lot of pictures like that. Hey, let me grab this shot real quick and on our way. And there's like tree branches and there's all this other stuff going on. And guess what? That's okay. Because I'm, and some of my best photographs, my favorites, aren't the best technically great photos. I have one with a plane coming through the moon out in Henderson I took about 5 years ago. People love that picture and I love it too, but I can't blow it up because I didn't have the right lens. I didn't have the right setting. I saw the planes coming and I didn't have the right lens. I couldn't change it fast enough. I just snapped away. I blew it up and I can only blow it up so far before. If I get it too big, it looks grainy or what they call a lot of noise in the picture. And I can't use it. So I have to keep it. The biggest I can make this picture is maybe an 8x10. It looks nice as a 5x7 card, but as a big picture, it looks like crap. But again, it's one of my favorite pictures I've ever taken, but it's not technically a good picture, and I could never enter it into a contest. Or I might show it in the gallery, but it still is going to be a small photo. Cropping. If you're going to take your picture a little bit wider, it's better. If you're taking a picture of me right now, you would take a picture that would be, well, it'd be wide anyway, but you'd take a picture that would be a little wider. So later on, if you want to print it, you can crop it down. If you took a picture of me right like this, okay, and you wanted to later on print that, I may end up being like this because until you get it to the printer and get it, whether it be a professional printer or a printer at home, it's going to change the way it looks. So it's better to go a little wider unless you want a really good close-up. It's better to go a little bit wider and crop it at the time of printing. Don't crop it during editing. Look and see how you think it's going to look later, and you can save it, but don't crop it until you get it to print time. Because if you're going a different shape, if you're going different material, like if you're going to go with canvas, so that wraps around, so you lose about 1.5 inches on either side. So you could lose a lot of your picture. So you can, it's better to go a little bit wider. Make sure you're in focus, go a little bit wider, or maybe take 2 or 3 shots if you can. And then crop it at the time of printing. I've learned that the hard way, and it's, I've done some editing jobs for some people, and I cropped it ahead of time, and like, oh, that was a mistake, And it took me a couple of times to realize it, that I needed to leave it bigger for later. In fact, I did a job for someone recently. They had a picture, okay. We'll say this, okay. Well, we can cover that up anyway. So they were holding a picture, okay, and they had a picture of them, and they wanted a print of what they were holding, okay, blown up. Well, it looked bad. It looked like you're trying to take a postage stamp and blow it up to a billboard. It just wasn't going to work. So if you're going to want this as a photograph later to be 11x14 or bigger, okay, make sure you get the picture itself, because taking a picture of a picture or cropping down something this small to be this big, it doesn't work. So be aware of what you're doing. Again, I know most people are just going to take the snapshot, and that's okay. But if you think later on, I might want to blow that up, get this individual object as big as you can in the frame, and that'll help you later on. Post-processing, I don't do a lot of post-processing. There's a lot of creative work. We know Gina does, and a lot of people, I'm going to say Gina because she's part of our group. She does a great deal of post-processing, and that's fantastic. That's her art. Okay. I have a couple you may see in the next show that is a sunset on the beach with a pool down in the Dominican Republic. And changed the color. We didn't change the colors so much, but we pulled colors a little bit. It made them a little bit more stand out a little bit more, but it changed the way the photo looked. I like the photo. My friend did the processing for me, and it looks beautiful. But to me, I would not have done that. But a lot of people do. It's fun. It's an art form. It's its own art form. You can do a lot of creative things. You don't have to have a big expensive program. Now there's the photo. People like to be photoshopped. People like to be there's several different programs out there. I'm not an expert in any of them because I don't use them that much. My post-processing comes down to make the picture lighter, or brighter, whichever you want to say, so I can print it, crop it to where I want it, and that's it. No, I did do this weekend. I went out and shot it up. I do a lot of music stuff, and thankfully we're opening up again. And I'll go into these places. The lighting is terrible. It's just bad lighting. And I'll go over and try to talk to the person doing the lighting. Sometimes they're cooperative. Sometimes they don't understand it. But what I'll do, if the picture doesn't come out the way I want it, I'll flip it to a black and white. And I think I put some pictures up last week, and I turned to black and white, and for some reason it pops them. It makes a nice picture. So if your lighting's not perfect, but you still want the image, if you flip it to a black and white, it might help you. Again, that's something we can look at in a future class. Okay. As far as printing goes, you can always print down. You always print down, meaning you want to go and do a photo. You want to capture the best photo you can, the best image you can. You can always print down to less color, less light, whatever. You cannot print up. If you don't have a good image, if this image is blurred, okay, if it is not crisp and ready to go, whether it be the way the light hits it or whatever, if it's not there, okay, you cannot print up. You cannot make a good print out of a bad picture, out of a bad photograph. Now, you can make a less print out of a great photograph and print it down. You cannot print up. So you always want to shoot your best. I keep my cameras on the best image, the best resolution, and whatever. Even my cell phone, I can do that with. And the new cell phones are fantastic. They let you do so many different things. And in fact, one of our winners of a contest here at the gallery about a year or two ago, Eric may remember the picture. Some of you others may remember it too. I think it was a door. She was traveling. It was I think it was in England or wherever, and she took her cell phone and took a picture of this door, and it won first or second place in photography that year. It was a cell phone, and there's actually books out on just cell phone photography, and it's a fun thing to have. Yes, I use my cell phone for professional, and just like the years ago, before the cell phones, if we wanted to check our lighting, we would take Polaroids and check our lighting and see how it was. You can do that with a cell phone now, and just check your lighting, check whatever you want to do. So the cell phone camera is a viable tool. So
Why would you check with a cell phone when you could just check it with your regular camera? You're not shooting film, are you? You're doing digital. So you check it and then you just erase it, and after you get your lighting set.
well, it depends on what you're going for. You can check different angles. You can just sort of get a real quick, look at it. Because sometimes what happens sometimes people will do is they'll set their camera and it'll be brighter in the viewfinder and not so much in the actual photo. So you want to coordinate them. But a lot of people will do that just to sort of get an eye for how it looks. Also, if I have my camera set up on a tripod and I'm trying to do this, and I just want to get a quick close shot and see a different angle without having to take my camera off the tripod or having to move things around, move my lighting around, I'll go in with my cell phone, take a quick snapshot, say, okay, oh, wait a minute, I'm catching the shadow from where? Where's that coming from? Oh, it's over there. So then I can make my adjustment, and I'm not fooling so much with the camera afterwards. Because when you have someone paying you to be photographing them, they want the best product out there. And if you're having to take 20 shots with your camera, to me, it's like almost like you don't know what you're doing. It's not for some people, but for me it is. So if I'm using my cell phone, say I'm just checking lighting, I'm checking whatever, I'm checking a different angle, that seemed to work okay. And I may get a different perspective that I didn't see before with my camera in front. So I might say, okay, hey, you know what? Turn around, guys. Let's get this. In fact, that's how I did the one with the peacocks the other day. I had them coming in, and one turned around. I grabbed my camera or my cell phone and took it and got that back view, if you will, the backstage view, I called it. And I got to get that. So I did a quick release off my tripod and had my camera in my hand. And so I was messing with that. So I was able to get, again, that quick snapshot.
Another comment, when I have done a painting of something, before I consider it finished, I take a picture of it. And I usually have to move it around my house to certain places where the lighting will be okay, where it won't spark off the page or whatever.
Right.
So I take a picture and put it on my computer and look at it, because sometimes when you're looking at just the canvas or the page that you've painted something on, you can't see all the highlights and the shadows well enough. Or, I mean, they get enhanced when you take a photograph. It's like, it hits you in the face and you look at it and you go, oh, there's something standing out in this that shouldn't be. So you have to go in and modify it. So
A little shiny or a little, depending on what material I don't know what medium you use, Delia, but if
watercolor.
you use watercolor, okay. I'm sorry I didn't know that. I love your work. I just don't know the differences among a lot of them. But yeah, you might have a little bit of a glare. You hit a certain way, and also it might help you later on if you're installing the picture for the person of how to install it in their house. So they can make a difference there. Also, I've noticed too, but sometimes with the cell phones, you can capture different angles, but cameras and computers aren't always calibrated. So you want to get, if you're going into, I don't know if Eric, if you've done this, have you calibrated your screens? Some places will tell you, calibrate your screen. So I try to keep my screen as close as possible. And my next investment is going to be this great screen that's exactly set how I take and what do I say? I want the same image they're seeing. So when I take my cart or my drive in, what I see on my camera or on my computer, it's going to be the exact same thing that they see on theirs when it goes to print. It's not going to be more purple or more pink or more green. It's going to be calibrated, and you can do that. That things are set up now. You can either get a program, and sometimes even like mine, I can calibrate mine right on the computer. And it's not, and I'm not, believe it or not, I'm about 2 steps above Amish. I am not an electronics person. I'm not a computer person. I know how to do what I know how to do because it's helped me with the photography. But as far as the electronics and stuff, I'm just not there with it. It doesn't hold an interest to me to learn it. Maybe I should, but I have other things I want to do. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about cameras. How are we doing on time? 7:30. Okay. So we okay? Everyone's okay so far? Everyone's awake? All right. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about cameras, especially if you have a camera where you have a battery, which it's electronics, so it's going to have a battery, and whether it takes SD cards, Okay, these ones or the mini ones. Okay, and most phones have the mini SD cards in them now, unless you have an iPhone, and I don't think you put those in the iPhone anymore. Okay, or if you have any kind of lens that you take on and off your camera. What do you think the first thing, Eric and Caesar, you cannot answer this question. Please. You can't be in this contest. What's the first thing you think you should do when it comes time to change your anything on your camera? Pat, Delia, or Terry?
Did you say something about video? What
Well,
did you say?
video too. When you're getting ready to do anything on your camera, when it comes to your SD card, your battery, or changing a lens.
Turn the camera off.
Right, exactly. Why, Delia?
I don't know, so you don't accidentally hit something that wipes out your card, or you know.
Yep. You don't want to short it out because you can change your lens and you can short it out. You can change your SD card and short out the card and the camera, or even changing your battery. So make sure it's off before you do anything. You turn it off before you take the battery or the SD card out, and you make sure it's off when you're changing lenses. And if I've forgotten, yes. Did I forget this weekend? Yes. I'm like, oh my God. First rule. It's not even taking the lens cap off anymore. It's make sure the camera's off, because you can lose a lot of material. You can lose a lot of photos. Okay. Now, I will tell you this.
It's the same thing when you're pulling your reader or a disk out of your computer. You need to put it on eject so you're not pulling it out and wiping something out.
Right, you have to properly dismount it. The only problem I have with that is right above the word eject is the word format. And I hate that because formatting a card will erase it.
Yeah.
You do not want to format something after you have something on it unless you want to get rid of it. You know, we can do that in our camera, you can do that on your computers, but you do not want to format something unless you want to wipe it out. Okay, so that's what it is. On my program, it has format and it has eject, and I have to make sure that I'm not hitting formatting. Okay. Now, you can get cards depending on what your camera will do or your phone will do. From the old ones were 1 gigabyte, clear up to, I think it has 512 now, which is actually a half a terabyte, which is great. It stores lots of stuff. It does wonderful things. The only thing is, it is very strong and powerful and fast. But if you wipe that card out, you wiped out everything. So, and I did my sister's wedding 3 or 4 years ago, and I did it on the card, and I brought it home, and somehow the card became corrupted. I put the card in, I can see the pictures, and all of a sudden I get this wipe of green and blue and orange across every picture. We're still trying to figure that out. But why I got off subject there for a second. But if I try to use 16 or 32 gigabyte cards. And if I'm going to do an event today, that's all it's on there, because I don't want to put thousands of pictures on something for like a month worth of stuff, and something happens to that card and then it's all gone. So if I'm like doing Delia, when I do your wedding, okay, I'm going to only have a card that has just your wedding on it. Okay. And if I do, say I do Terry's this or Pat, whatever, I just want to have that event on there. And I don't always stick to that, but I try to. So I use a 13 or 16 card, or a 16 or a 32 card. I'm getting my numbers mixed up now. I only do that because that is dedicated to you. I take it out, I put it on another drive, I edit from that, and I don't have car accidents and sunsets and your wedding and dog pictures in the park all on one. I try to do it each individual. Okay, so we talking about turning the camera off. We covered that. The last thing I want to talk about is types of cameras. You can have a phone camera. You can have a point and shoot. Okay. You can have a shoebox with a broken beer bottle for all, it matters. If you know what you're doing, okay, you can control the lighting and you get a good picture. That's all that matters. You don't have to have a professional camera. I've seen people with $20,000 worth of equipment who can't take a picture of the shoe, and the shoe is on automatic with the camera pointing down. It's like can't do it. I've seen people with cameras. You go at Walmart, buy a $30 camera, or like I used to call them throwaways, because you take it in, and they do the digital, who can take beautiful pictures. Okay, it's a tool. It's like a hammer or a screwdriver or whatever. If you're using the right tool for the job, you're going to get the job done. Okay, I can teach you where to look, but I can't teach you how to see. So if you want to do more with me, let me know. Okay, Eric and I have talked about this, possibly doing some classes and stuff. Be glad to work with you. Come out, have some fun. If you want to enhance your photography, I'll be more than happy to do that. I hope tonight was worked for you. If you have any questions, feel free to ask questions. Eric and Caesar, if you'd like to add anything that I may have forgotten, please do so.
John, I have a question.
Yes.
Using an outdoor light or lighting or bulb versus a regular bulb when you take pictures of your paintings or sculpture indoors in the evening, any thoughts about that?
So you're asking me the type of lighting for sculptures and paintings?
Yeah, I guess it's more focusing on you could buy those outdoor light bulbs at Home Depot or photography shops, or use a regular bulb, more orangey and.
Right. It depends on what you want your finished product for. Do you want it because you're going to then use the photo as an original and have that as, okay, this is now an original work, or this is documentation. I did this work, and here, I'm saving this for just to have a picture. Or are you presenting it as another piece of art? Now the photo is the art of what you shot. If I created this, okay, and this is my subject, and I just want to take a quick picture of it and say, okay, I did this, fine. But if I went now the photo of my sculpture is my art, I would change the lighting a little differently. And I would, I use a ring light, the big ring light. I have the smaller ring lights too, where I can control the temperature of the light, whether it be warmer or cooler. So I'd want to know what you're going to use the photo for. Does that make sense?
Well, it's for, say, submission for an online exhibition for paintings.
Okay. So you want, okay. So so you need to make it so it actually create. So the picture. It's more about the painting. You want to present the painting for like for jury to be juried. Am I understanding you right? Caesar.
You're muted.
Oh, I'm sorry. There was a phone call. Yeah, that's correct. It's for a jury. Yes.
Okay. And so you want it to be so you actually want a photo quality submission. Almost
Yes.
like, okay. So I would look at there's different ways of doing it. One thing is, if you can, I've learned this the hard way, is you want it almost photographed down on it. Like if you put a photo on a wall, it's going to look like it's leaning, and it's going to look kind of wide. Instead of square like this, it's going to look back like this and kind of wide. So I would put it down and shoot down over it, and I would light it accordingly if you can. I learned that little trick. I guess my lighting, I'd have it come from more than one side, have it lit from the side and in the front if I can. Again, if it's a warm picture, use warm lighting. I'd rather do multiple lights than just try to one light. That's me. There might be people who do it differently though.
Meaning having in both sides, right? Both sides. Both
Right.
sides, just having one.
Right. To me, now again, depends on what you want to do. If you're lighting a cue ball, you want to light it from the top so it hits from the, whatever. But if you're lighting something that's more flat, has a flat finish to it, I want to go from different sides. And also with the tripods and the stands now, you can do it so it's straight down on the photo. So it's laying flat. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. Yes.
Okay, so so I wouldn't try to handhold it either. I'd definitely have a platform of some sort. Eric, Delia.
One of the things, if you're going to submit it, the color has to be the same as the original, because that's kind of a problem when you take anything under artificial light, it changes the color balance, and then it may not look the same as the original. So what I try to do, of course, the minute I finish the picture, I want to be able to take the photo of it, my painting. I want to take the photo of it. Well, it might be this time when there's no light in the house. But what I try to do is I go into the room where it's lit from two sides, and I try to use natural light. In other words, there has to be some sunshine coming in the windows, but not hitting the painting. So I do it flat, like you're talking about, and I have a sofa in the room, and I set the painting flat on the seat of the sofa. And with the sunlight coming in from two different directions, I don't get shadows. And I sometimes turn the light on in the room also, as long as I'm not casting a shadow when I'm taking the picture. And I find that I get truer color balance with outside natural light than I do any other way.
I prefer ambient light as much as I can, and I prefer natural light. Like you said, you can't always do that, and depending on what you're trying to come out with, artificial light, like you said, might help. I prefer daylight, but that's not always the case. Or you might end up getting a mixed light or combination light, like we talked about earlier. And if you have, believe it or not, you can get some weird shadows within a room, just the way the light bounces off the wall. If you have white walls, it can bounce different. If it has darker walls, they might absorb light more. So I think
it reflects off of a mirror that's in the room, and then you get a bright spot on your painting.
Right. Call a hot spot. Right. And you might not see it till later. So.
Well, the other thing
You
too.
please call on me.
Who?
Stephanie.
I don't see you.
I don't know why. I'm right there.
Wow.
I see all of you. I'm on top of Pat.
There's Stephanie. Yeah.
I am so sorry, dear. I didn't see. There you are on my screen. Thank you for speaking up, Stephanie. Go ahead.
Well, I have to go all the way back before you answered Delia and Caesar, because you said warm light, and what was the other? You said
That's ambient.
You said something about warm light and something else. What is warm light? I don't know. I'm planning on entering the jury show, and I'm a beginner. I mean, I take photos, but I know nothing about all of this stuff. I had to ask Eric some questions today.
Mm-hmm.
So what is warm light?
Warm light, like like a temperature, like more on the reddish oranges versus blue. So if you see a picture that's warmer, it looks like it has a warmer skin tone to it or whatever, that's warmer. And if you see something like a picture of winter time, it looks like it's cold, that's more of a blue light or more cold. Okay. So it's warmer. It's like it has a little bit of red, a little bit of orange to it. It's farther up the scale on the light scale.
Okay.
So yeah, we can make it a little warmer. Like I will tell you this, I have if I take a picture of me and you together, okay, I have to get warmed up in the picture. I would have to get warmed up because my skin is going to reflect more and look colder compared to yours if we're in the same picture.
So colder being paler?
Paler, sometimes more blue. More
Okay,
blue is cooler. Just thinking that way. When you see something that's cold, or like if I take a picture of snow or ice, I'm going to make it a little bit more blue to make it feel cold.
oh, okay.
Okay. So when you're
Okay.
looking at that picture, you're thinking, my God, it's cold out there. Okay. If I'm going to take a picture of like sunnier, or I can make a winter scene look warmer. Okay, just by changing the light a little bit more red. Okay, I can take a picture of a black person and make their skin tone look a little bit different. The same I can do it with a white person or any color skin, really, and you can change the way it looks for the better. I guess, and especially if you have people say that it was George Wilson and I in the same picture. Okay, because I'd have to change. I'd have to make some adjustments there, and I would do it according to the temperature of the lighting.
Oh,
One other thing, your editors, when you bring your photo onto your computer and your program on the computer, you hit edit, usually they'll have a scale of making the photo brighter and lighter and then different shades so that you can make it grayer or bluer or whatever. And if you play with those, you can see what he's talking about and what it does to the photo.
well, I do play
Shade.
with them, but I didn't know,
Right.
I don't know the wording. So by
Okay.
him saying warm,
Right.
you know,
When you're
Okay.
saying shade, shades, okay, if I'm adding black to a photo more, I'm putting more shade to it, shadowing it. If I'm making it light, I'm highlighting and I'm adding more white or more light. Okay, so that's my distinction. If I want to shadow something, I'll add a little bit more darkness to it. If I'm highlighting it, I'll add a little bit more white or a little bit more light to it. But actually, as color goes, I'm changing. And you kind of got it part right on that. You're looking at color versus brightness. Those are two different things. And you can make it. You can go in like do a black and white picture or a sepia tone picture, and you can add a little more color to it. But then you can add your brightness or your darkness to that picture too, and it gives you a whole different twist to it.
I guess I'll do some playing tonight.
Yeah, there you go. And it makes a difference too when you take a picture of, like, let's say an example of it'd be George, yourself, and me in the picture. Okay, I'd have to bring my color up a little bit, and maybe George's down a little bit, so that so there were as even as possible in the picture without taking away our actual color. So you got to play around, and you can spot that. You can do it in spots and stuff like that. But I try to do it where I don't have to do it as much, and I can actually do it if I needed to. If I set up lighting ahead of time, I can make it so I can light George different than you light me, and it could come out good. It could come out without any post processing.
Oh, okay.
So you can play with it. There's a lot. That's what I like about photography. I like the creative part of it. I like to have it on manual and playing with it and going in. I went into a bar. I don't know if you were here earlier. I went into a bar the other night I've never been into and shot pictures of the band who I knew the drummer, so I knew what his coloring was, but I never shot these other guys, and the lighting, it sucked. The lighting sucked. I had a photographer with me. One of my assistants and friends, he's a good photographer in his own right. You guys have seen him there. In fact, he's won some ribbons in the shows. But he said, "How are you going to shoot this tonight?" And I said, "I'm just going to do whatever." And I talked to the guy who was in charge of lighting, got him to make a little adjustment. And I just flipped him from a color picture to black and white, added a little bit of color. I'm just a tip of color to it, and got a great picture because I played with it afterwards. But beforehand, I couldn't do anything with it. So playing with it, but knowing ahead of time, it's fun. It's like if you were an athlete or you Stephanie used glass or everyone's art. you practice so much, you kind of like going in. So here's the situation. So same with photography. I know my lighting is going to be bad in this situation, so I can make my adjustments in my camera and then go from there. Just like if you change your color in your glass or your paint or whatever.
So let me ask this question then. So in a jury show, when you're looking at the different photographs, there's no issue with people playing with it so much that they actually change the coloring? Because like Delia was just saying about the coloring should be the same as it is in the photo should be the same as it is in the actual piece.
Well, we have a category for that because we have some with the digital stuff. You can do so much stuff, and I'm not speaking out of turn when I talk about Gina. I love her work. But that's just And I have a photograph. You may heard me say one of my ones I had from the Dominican of the sunset. It's been altered to pop a certain color. Yeah, you can do that, but you have to. That's when you take it away from being a classic photo. Classic we say is like a minimal adjustment. You might have to make it brighter or crop it. When you have something that looks like Eric, I'm going to use your example if I can, your cars. Okay, you would make some adjustments on those, right?
I added my artistic interpretation.
Thank you. There you go. And that's perfectly good. But you go in there knowing that, and that's how we have a category for that reason, because there's some great art. I can't remember the gentleman's name. He did his stuff on his screen and made it around. To me, that wasn't photography, but that was art. Okay. But he considered it a photo and said, okay, and he took the original piece and he morphed it to a certain thing, added his creative, however Eric said it, interpretation, and came out with a finished product, and that was fine. So yeah, you can do that, just so you know ahead of time. That wasn't the original photograph.
That's what I ran to get.
Oh, okay. So you changed that coloring. It wasn't that coloring.
No. The original the original was not that. So I did I call it artistic interpretation, but yeah, I did some really just not too much changing. It was really just more adjusting what we were talking about before, the different types of lights, which would be your color temperature, and because that was shot at like 1 in the afternoon when the sun is high in the sky and it washes everything out. So I had to bring the color temperature down to more of a warm white versus a super washed out daylight. And then I added I adjusted some of the hues and saturations on some of the colors. Yeah.
Oh,
And that's why it looks that way.
Yeah,
I can see where I'm going to be doing a lot of playing.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
Right now, with any one of you in your background, I could adjust my camera. I mean, if I was taking your picture there, I can't do it right now. But if I was taking your picture, I can make your background completely black and front light you with a flash and just get you and have a black background. Okay. That's just a technique you do in camera. Or I can make it completely whited out and then change the way you look on there. Okay. So again, those are just techniques you learn with you're doing with a brush or with glass, and we're doing with a sensor and a camera. And it's come a long way. I started off with let me see if I can find one real quick. 1 second. I'll be right. Hold on, where is it?
Well,
Go ahead, Eric.
I was just going to say, we were going back to one of the things that you always hear this with computers about people with their hard drives crashing and all that good stuff. And the one thing, as we become more and more dependent upon our cell phones is, and I've experienced this recently, and I know Stephanie has, is if you're taking pictures with your cell phones, back them up to your hard drive, back them up to a cloud, back them
Right.
up someplace, and try to do it on a regular basis. I recently, I'm due for a new cell phone, obviously, because twice in the past 6 months, my cell phone has decided to do a factory reboot in the middle of the night for some reason, and whatever I've had on there, gone. So,
Easter Sunday.
yeah, and yeah, mine was that weekend too. So, it's just really weird. So I tell people, just like you do with your computer files and everything else, backup, backup, backup. And the other thing is, especially if you're doing a photography event, like let's say, it's somebody's wedding or, a once in a lifetime event. What I do is I carry my laptop with me, and I will go, and before I even leave the event, I will take everything out and I will load it up to my laptop so I have an immediate backup.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Immediate backup, especially when it comes to those once in a lifetime events, somebody's 90th-year-old birthday, and especially if you're getting paid for them. And,
Right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
because you lose that wedding kiss, and you might as well just flush your career down the toilet.
Yeah. And my camera will be, I have 2 cards in mine. Mine comes that way. It can do 2 cards, and when I do it as I'm taking double pictures. So one's a backup to the other in case. And like I said, my sister's wedding, I wasn't the main photographer, thank God. I'm still welcome back in the state. But the camera, something happened to it. But this is what I started with. I don't know if you guys can see it or not.
Yeah.
Walked around.
Your brownie box camera, huh?
Yep, that's how I started 50 years ago.
My friend, that's what he used. And he had the dark room in the closet.
Right. Well, we were so poor, and I'm not exaggerating. We didn't have money for film, so I would imagine what the pictures would come out with. That's how I learned composition. Because when you look in this, it flips it over. So I was looking on how to crop things ahead of time, looking at lighting, looking at all that stuff. So I learned on this before they say there's no film in the camera. There was no film on my camera because, but I went around and practiced for years playing, I was taking pictures. But then when I actually got my hand on the camera, I was able to do that. And that's how I learned how to get people in the frame right, how the lighting was supposed to be, how, looking at background, stuff like that. And so that makes a difference. So again, I could still get film for this camera somewhere. I could still come out with pictures. And actually, it'd be a bigger negative than you get now. Okay. And it might come out better. And believe it or not, they're still teaching film. You can still do film. It's available. A couple places in town still develop film and sell and develop it. I kicked and screamed my way into digital. I did not want to do digital. No way, shape, or form. But one card like this costs like $10 now. And the pictures I could get on there to develop them, buy film, get them developed and printed, will probably be about $10,000 worth of pictures. So right there, it's paid for itself. And for me, I'm happy. My clients are happy. I don't have to go
John,
back.
how long do the rolls last? If you have pictures on a roll, which I have a whole thing of pictures on rolls that have never been developed because most of the developing places stopped doing them a long time ago.
Right.
So they're still on the rolls. How long do they last if they're undeveloped?
You know what? I've had pictures go in 10 years later, they're fine. I've had people say they found them in a box 20, 30 years later, they take them in and they're fine.
Okay.
If you want, I know a place that does them. They have a good reputation. They're not guaranteed, but you can try it, I actually have a thing where I can take pictures of their slides and negatives and put them through the machine and take digital photos of them. I have a little machine that does that. In fact, I have a client who wants to do that. But just get them developed. Give me a call. And Eric, you're doing stuff with Eric, right? I mean, Eric's done some projects with you. Either one of us can help you with that. But because we have a place that we go to get our work done, and it's local, and I trust them, and try it. As long as they've not been out in the in your garage for the last 30 years in the heat.
They've been inside
Okay, they might,
in
they
a
might,
diaper hamper. Well,
you know what, you might be surprised, and you start looking at them and start crying because you think, oh my God, I can't believe I still have that.
and my son's going to be 40, so some of these photos have been in there for pretty much his entire life.
Right. You know what? I would go
And my
for it.
slides. I have a bunch of slides too, because I used to take slides and to do my artwork with. I used to do it through slides,
Right.
so.
So we can take the slides, put them in my thing, and take a digital picture of the slide.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah. Mhm.
But that's only if I decide to get serious about this. It's just so much easier to take a photograph than it is for me to do stained glass for, especially if you want to do multiple things and do them more frequent. It
Right.
takes too long to do a stained glass.
Right. I hear you. I got you.
Cool.
Any other questions? I didn't intend to go clear till 8 o'clock, but I'm glad we did. It was like, I'm glad people had questions and comments, and
I have to leave.
okay. All right. Well, it's good seeing you.
It was very interesting and informative. Thank you.
Good. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I'm glad it was, and I know I'll see you beforehand, but our next member meeting, I think, is not until September, October. So I'll talk to Steph about that. How would you guys feel about summer meetings? In the past, we have not done them.
No, because a lot of people weren't here during the summer. That's the reason why we didn't do it.
Right.
So it's not a good idea.
Okay. Well, with Zoom, I just wondered if, because you can do them from anywhere. To
Yeah.
me, either way, it goes fine. Either way. So, okay.
But it's good seeing everybody.
Yeah. Terry, did you have a last minute comment, question? Unmute.
No, I enjoyed this very much.
Oh, thank you.
You've inspired me, John. I may try to enter the photo.
Good.
Do it, because I am.
Okay.
Yes. I would tell you this too, real quick. I never know, and I don't think Eric does, and Gina, we don't know who the judges are. We get someone else to pick the judges. I don't want to know who the judges are. Okay, because I enter also. I just think it's, for that being for transparency. But I encourage everyone to enter, do a picture that you love. There's something about seeing your picture on the wall.
Mhm. So, so these are to be dropped off the first weekend in June, is that right?
First, 4th and 5th
Fourth
from
and
10
fifth.
a.m. to 4 p.m. There's the forms are online. We also have them in the gallery. So of course you put a letter of authenticity. Letter of authenticity? Am I saying that right? Certificate of authenticity that you are the artist. And there's 4 categories. You can enter up to 2 pictures per category, so you can enter a total of 8. And
John, what are the categories offhand?
classic,
Okay,
black and white,
okay.
enhanced, and street.
Oh, and street. Okay.
Street, yeah, we went, yeah, like photo journal type, like raw. Go out there and and grab a picture off the street.
Would a park be considered a street scene?
What's that?
Would a park be considered a street scene?
If you wanted to put it in that category, you can. Or if you want to put it in classic, you can do that too. Depending on how you want to do it. How you feel would be best, representative of what you were looking at.
Okay.
There's
Go ahead,
there's
Eric.
the if you go to the website and go to the right on the landing page, there's a link to the page that'll show the forms, and then there's the one, it's the fact sheet, and it's got description of the different categories. So
Great. Thanks, Eric. Thank you.
And Eric and Gina have been the big what do you call it, part of this. And Caesar, I'm sorry, and Caesar. I can't remember my Aunt Caesar.
Just being quiet. I asked a lot of questions.
Uh-huh. Okay, any other questions? I don't want to miss anyone. Caesar, did you get your question answered?
Yeah, well, Delia is gone. And also this refers back to Stephanie's sort of echoing the question of making sure the colors of your painting matches what you submit. Many times I'm faced with challenges of deadlines, and I would take pictures of my watercolors still wet. But I don't have a choice. It's a deadline.
Right.
I submit it. I just take the risk. But fortunately, nothing's been questioned.
Right. Well, is it matter of being? I know something's dry, a little darker, or a little brighter. I don't know enough about that to speak of. But I mean, you're getting your colors. They might not be the right. Like so, they might have a little bit of wetness to them or whatever. But is it? Make sure you're just look at your how you're printing them. Okay. Are you submitting a digital? You're submitting a digital image.
Well, digital for the selection.
Right.
Once selected, then I had to send it of the actual piece. And that's critical because I signed approval for documents. It's called legal agreement.
Right.
That the colors, the artwork itself, or authenticity matches what I'm submitting.
Mm-hmm.
So far I'm lucky. And
Right.
nothing's been questioned.
Right. I saw a couple chats here. Did I? I'll make sure I get everyone. Oh,
Thanks,
Eric,
Eric.
the chat up there. Thank you. About the city lights thing.
Yeah.
I know it's tough because I've seen photos I've done. I take to get printed, and I'm like, wait a minute, that's not right. And then it's not calibrated to the printer that I take into. So I have to make sure what I really want, and if I'm willing to sacrifice a little bit, I'm pretty close on. My biggest thing is like in the camera, sometimes what I'm seeing in camera might be brighter on my viewfinder than it actually is when I get it back home because I have this turned up a little bit so I can see better, And then sometimes I use a loop. Look at the back of my camera when it's bright outside so I can actually see it. Sometimes it's hard to see what you're doing, especially on a bright day.
Yeah, a lot of changes though. I mean, yeah.
Actually,
By the time go ahead, sorry.
I'm sorry, I do have another question about the competition.
Good.
Is there a time frame or with under which or the time during which the photos are to have been taken, or could they?
No.
No. Okay.
No. Sometimes they do that, but we do not in the photo contest.
Okay, great. Thank you. Sorry.
Mhm.
I'm going to have to leave. It's nice seeing you all.
You
And
two,
I'll see you
We're
at the
about
gallery.
yeah, we're about done here. It's 8:08 right now, according to that. And if there's no other questions or nothing else, I think we're done. Thank you for coming. Eric, can you hang for a minute?
Good night.
Steve?
Thanks,
Very
everybody.
informative.
Have a great
Thank
night.
you.
Okay, Caesar, can you hang for a minute?
Yeah, okay.
Okay, it's nothing big. It's
Let
just
me find my way out of here.
you're welcome to stay. It's no big deal. By the way, I just had for the 5th. I got a new job, and I got actually a photo shoot on the 5th in the morning. And I know. Do we have enough help for Saturday for intake?
Doing
Yeah,
the
I
intake for the
think-
fourth.
I think we'll be okay. What time can you be in?
12:30.
You'll be fine.
Okay. Okay. I actually have 2 new jobs, potential 2 full-time jobs. Plus, I've been busy with photography this last month, which is like fantastic. And I'm like loving it because last year, this time I lost $5,000 worth of work because of COVID, So that was just in April, or April and May. But yeah, I've been busier. And then I had someone call me yesterday or text me yesterday, and can you do this on the 5th? I'm like, oh man, I really want to do this. And I took a hell of a rate decrease because I wanted to see the people in the I'm doing it for. It's for the students who I was teaching before. It's a special event, and it happens to be on the 5th. Like So I wanted to check with you. If not, I'll make arrangements.
No, we'll be fine.
Okay.
Pretty good. I
okay.
think there's myself, Gina will be there, and she's gonna be late on the 4th. And then I think there's 2 other people that are supposed to be there. So
Yeah.
I think I can help out a bit on the 5th. So Eric, I want to confirm with Eric, who's going to be on the 5th for the intake? John and who else?
I think it was
Later.
Gina, myself, you, Caesar, and John.
On
I think
on
it's
the
the 4 of us.
on the 5th.
On
Yeah.
the 5th, yeah.
5th.
Okay.
Who was
Yeah.
what's her name? I can't think of her name now. Said she was going to come on the 5th. One of our ladies in the group
I'd have to look at the notes. I don't know.
in the planning. And then on the day on the 13th, it's going to be, I talked to Stephanie already. I'll work on the agenda, for that day. The gentleman, I could not have done this without you. I appreciate all your help.
Team effort.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah.
Well, I can honestly say I was the chairperson, and you guys were the workers, and I will not try. I would never say otherwise because you guys did 99% of it. So I appreciate that.
Thanks, John.
Well,
All right, I'm gonna go watch the Knights game.
what score?
Score is 2-1. It was 3-1, but they
went backwards.
No, they contested the last goal that Minnesota had. And they made it back to 2-1. There was offside icing. So.
Oh, what channel?
It is on what channel is it here? Channel 38 here, NBC Sports.
Okay, I don't get that. Okay.
So, or it's on AT&T Sportsnet, but that's the hockey channel. You got to pay extra for that one. So.
No, thank you.
Yeah. So.
Oh, congratulations, John, on your new project, new job.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's exciting.
In therapy, I was going from nothing. Now I have 2, and it's like, we'll see if it stays at 2. The contract jobs, but still, sometimes those contract jobs can last a long time.
It's still good for the most part. I would say.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I gotta drive to Pahrump 4 or 5 days a week, but it's only an hour.
No, that's fine. I mean, it's
summertime.
You should enjoy it.
Yeah, I will. And I'll have my camera with me. So.
So
All right.
I have a question for Eric, really quick one. So Eric, how much do I have to pay you to take my eye bags away from my other photo you took?
To take away which?
My eye bags.
Your eye
bag. You can't see them with your glasses on. I never noticed them before, so.
No, I did when yeah. You took.
Oh, you mean in the in your pictures we've taken before?
Yeah. Well, the last one was blue background.
Yeah. I'll have to look at it again. I didn't notice anything.
No, I didn't until I was searching for a photo with a plain background that Poland wants it in Warsaw.
Oh, okay. So was it the one with the
blue
background?
Yeah, blue background. Yeah.
If there, you have the photo, right?
I have the photo.
If there's a number, it says DSC, and then give me the 4-digit number, and I'll be able to find it, and I'll have a look. I never noticed anything really. Sometimes I notice that stuff and I fix it, but
it's hard to choose when eventually it's being needed. And I look closely and I said, "Oh my God."
Yeah. Okay.
I salt in my eyes.
Yeah. If you have the DSC number and then the four digits after that, I'll look it up and see, because we've done a few headshots of you before.
Yeah.
So I know I think there's 3 different sets that we've done. So yeah, let me know, or just send me the one that you sent to be easier, just send me the one that you sent to the art fest or
Okay.
art show.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, I'll
the
have a look see at it.
the feature. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Great pictures, though. Well, thank you so much for both of you.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah. Are you
How
gonna
do
be
you
entering?
think-
You gonna be entering the photo show too?
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
Good. Good. Okay. That'll be great because yeah, see some of your new stuff.
Don't take me seriously. I just using my phone, regular phone.
Yeah. No, it'll be fun. It'll be fine. Cool.
All right. Thanks, Caesar.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, guys. I'm gonna go watch the game. Have a great night. We'll see
Okay.
you soon.
Call me tomorrow with input.
Take
Okay.
care. See ya.
Bye.
How do I leave? There we go.
Huh? Oops.